Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to Better Than We Found It. I'm your host, Dino, and I'd like to begin this podcast by apologizing for the audio on my last podcast. If you guys showed up today, I thank you for giving me a second chance. Um, and I will say we had a little bit of audio issues in this podcast, but I was able to kind of take them out in post. So hopefully they're not going to be too annoying. You'll be able to sit back and enjoy this conversation with my friend Billy Nobel. Billy is a super dude, fantastic keyboard player. We have had a lot of laughs together and we share a lot of memories together. And I know that you will take away something from this little conversation. And I hope that you sit back and enjoy my conversation with Billy Nobel. Hey y'all, welcome to Better Than We Found It podcast. I'm your host, Dean Brown. My friends call me Dino. I'd like to make welcome my guest today, Billy Nobel. Billy Nobel is our keyboard player on the road, and he does a lot of session work here around Nashville. He spreads a lot of love and positivity. He's also a great dad. You guys sit back, enjoy my conversation with Billy Nobel. Be just raw and the way it is. We got it figured out. I got it figured out with the help of my dear friend Billy.
What's up?
They can't see
Thanks for
us. It's
having
just
me.
it's just audio. Oh man,
Okay.
dude, but you get to see each other. I know it's kind of weird. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you got a lot of stuff going on.
Thank you for asking me. I'm very curious, what is the genesis of the podcast, and have you done other podcasts in this series? Where did this come from, I guess? And
I
how's
thought
it
I was
going?
I thought I was the host. No. I think all start like in COVID. I got bored and I
Uh-huh.
wanted another way to just create. And, there was no music happening anywhere. And, you being a studio guy, session guy as well, that whole thing just died. And so I was looking for an outlet to do something. And so um, I thought, and I still have aspirations of on the road taking it out to maybe meeting somebody, kind of setting up somebody like a crosswalk lady who's been there all year long in the winter, and she crosses. Just somebody turn me on to a cool person that we're playing, and I'll in the town that we're playing, and I'll go have lunch and do a little podcast with them, find out you know why they do these little things that make the area they live in better than they found it. And it's taken me this long to get out of my way and to just say fuck it and do it. I mean, I'm the only one stopping me. All this shit's free. All this stuff is available to everybody. And so yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to be able to uh, you know introduce people or introduce my friends or followers, if I have any, the 12 followers, my mom, hey mom, that introduce them to my friends and people that I want to come across that are just doing little things, that are just super like kind and nice and just making people happy around them and just kind of spreading that positive vibe. And I think, I've started off with you guys because you're my guinea pigs. And I think that we as a collective group and even in our own little world are doing that.
So who have you spoken to?
I started the podcast with my buddy Nick Strand. Remember the camera guy who was married to Brianna, lost his wife to cystic fibrosis, and started his own merchandise. Kind of, he's like a motivational speaker right now. So I did him, and then I did Adam, and then I did Dave. Paul's coming up tonight. Paul's going on tonight.
Wow. All
And
right.
then you. and then I'm gonna go over to Denny or Billy. Look, those guys hate me by now, as you probably do as well.
You
But
mean
they
Denny
hate
or
me,
Bob?
Denny and Bob.
Yeah. Okay.
After 30 years of being together, friends like that. No, I thought it'd be kind of cool to start off my endeavor with just talking to everybody, see what they thought about the tour, how much, was it what they expected, just, just having conversations about everything and nothing, and along the way, we'll learn something about Billy Nobel, and people will learn that I surround myself with some killer people, and because, like I said, or I have heard, you become the five people you hang out with the most.
Nice.
So if there's one thing you never do again, you have to tell
Let
that
it be
story.
that. Okay. So,
Okay, hold on. Let me just preface this.
okay.
Um, you know, my buddy Billy, keyboard player extraordinaire, vocalist. He kind of, when we first met, he kind of came off as a little bit of a germaphobe, and I get it. It was
I
pre-COVID.
still am a germaphobe. Oh my
You should see
gosh.
his hands, poor guy. They're like
Crispy.
the Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
But he's very he would always fist bump and just and so I get it now. I get it 100%. But one day we were standing next to each other. Well, I'll let you tell the story. I'll let you tell the story. But just keep in mind that he's very very thoughtful in the don't touch me kind of
So I
respect.
think that I don't know where we were, but I yawning?
Yeah, you yawned
Yeah. So I was
like right in
yawning.
my face.
Right. You were probably telling another one of your stories. No, I'm
My
just
dad
kidding.
joked.
Oh. And I yawned, and you stuck your finger in my mouth. And yeah, what's our age difference? You are how old?
I'm old enough to be your dad. I'm 57. I just found out this
Okay.
year.
Okay. I'm 42.
Okay.
So this would have been several years ago. Like, we met when I was 29. Okay. So I was probably just like this little kid,
It wasn't that
you
long
know.
ago. You
No,
were
it
like
was
you were
not that long ago, but still
maybe 39, 38.
the attitude of like my response, which was after you stuck your finger in my mouth, I said, if there's one thing you never do again, let it be that.
Did I touch anything in your
And
mouth?
sounds like a millennial. I think I'm on like the top end of millennial, 1982, I think. So I fulfilled my millennial duties by structuring the sentence that way.
If there
If
is
there's
one
one thing you
thing
never do
you
again,
never
let it
do
be that.
again, let it be that. Did I touch anything? I don't think I touched anything. It was like a hot
Everybody
dog down a
touches
hallway.
everything.
What?
Everybody touches everything. So it's not like you came off of like off of your surgery hands, clean
No,
surgery hands, and then
no, but
stuck it in my mouth.
I didn't like swab the inside of your mouth or anything with my finger. I simply like inserted and came out. There was no, maybe breath molecules were on my finger, but no
No, there
saliva.
was definitely some touch.
Oh, okay.
And but what I will say to the what did you say, 12 people listening?
Yeah, and
Uh,
mom. My mom.
and mom.
Yeah.
What I will say is since then, you have not done that.
I will never do that again. No,
So
I
thank
just,
you.
you know, I thought, wow, this guy's yawning right in front of my face. I should have reciprocated with the if there's one thing you never do again. No, but it was all in jest, and I think what I was laughing about the most when you asked about our age difference was like, you're the younger one, I'm the older one, and I'm sticking my finger in your mouth,
Oh, that
as
is
you're
funny. I never
as you're
thought of it that way.
as
Yeah.
you're trying to catch a Z or a yawn. I'm like, nah, nah.
That's funny. Do you remember the first? I was thinking about this today. Do you remember the first thing we did together, you and me?
You mean first thing like we did like a show or
First time you and I met, and why?
it was rehearsal. It was a rehearsal studio with Denny and Bob and I. And you came in your little white T-shirt and your red
You're
pants,
right. Okay, I forgot about that part.
your
We did
Pee Wee
meet at
Herman
the
boots.
audition. Yes. Okay, what was the first thing? Do you remember the first thing you and I worked on together?
It had to have been Brothers of the Sun tour
Yeah,
stuff,
so
rehearsals
I
and stuff and
I was
moving
hired, uh, and my first order of business was to get together with you at SAG-AFTRA,
for
the
harmony
union there.
rehearsals, for vocal rehearsals.
I think you and I went over a ton of songs for 2 days,
Yeah.
just you and me,
Yeah.
um, in that studio there. And that was the first time that you and I like really, I think, got together and hung out.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
It was a tall order having to learn all those songs because when you add singing to it, right? It's kind of like a second job, right? So I was
Totally.
hired as keyboard player and singer, and um, I had to learn all the keyboard stuff for more songs than what was in the set list because I think there was a few maybes.
Right. He always had a
Um,
couple in his back pocket.
yeah, and
Did
then
you sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, then you have to go through and learn all the singing, and then for me, I have to learn how to put it together, right? The coordination between
Oh my God,
what
yeah.
I'm playing, between a couple keyboards, and then the movement of the mouth. It doesn't come uh, very easily to me.
Hmm.
So
That's what I
it
was
was a
going to
lot of
ask.
work.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you have to, do you learn the piano parts first, probably get comfortable with those, and then you kind of like go back again and learn the lyrics and the where your parts are vocally, and then you mesh them all together. And
Yep,
then yeah,
that's
same thing with playing acoustic and singing. I can sit in my house and play the acoustic and play these songs all day long, but then I get to rehearsal. I'm like, oh, I gotta sing too, and then it
hmm
becomes kind of like a pat the head, rub the belly thing.
that's it. Yeah,
You know.
yeah, it's tricky. And if really get in a bind, I will practice everything very slowly. So I would like go, maybe I'll go through a chorus and try and sing and play my parts at a very slow tempo, much slower than the actual song. Um,
Does your voice drop when
right.
sing?
I
Dude.
got Little Wayne pumping on my iPod.
Don't take the good. Dude, what about that boy, huh? He's
Who?
our boss.
Oh,
I
yeah. Are
think
we
it's okay to
talking
talk
about that?
about. I think it's okay to touch on it. I mean,
Okay.
he may
I'll
have.
let
He
you
may.
lead. I'll let you lead. You guys are best friends.
I mean, we all know he has a prosthetic nose. I mean, he had to have that thing shimmed up.
Yeah, I hope he's doing all right, and he can get through the doorways now. And um,
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
yeah,
At least hold those sunglasses up.
yeah,
Yeah, I think by now the press has kind of been notified, but yeah, the two knees getting
at the
replaced, and
same
then
time.
at the same time, I did hear uh, that that's the way to do it. I guess if you have to do it, that's the way to do it. I guess if you're going down for
Okay.
one, you're going to be down 6 to 8 weeks or whatever it is, recouping, then it's best to get them both. But
Have you ever had any like major surgery like that? Is
no,
that considered major surgery? I actually don't know, but it sounds very painful.
I think it's considered major surgery. Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
to relearn to walk, essentially.
Wow. Yeah.
No, I've not. Have you? Anything?
No, nothing.
We're so
Nothing.
grateful, so thankful that way, and blessed. But yeah, I kind of think about the procedure in my brain. They had to split his knees. They had to open him up like a damn banana split, and
Wow.
there's drilling and hammering and stuff going on. It's like a construction site down there, and
Wow.
and there's no real muscle tissue around the knee. The muscles come from the tissue comes from other muscles.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they all just wrap across the knee and helps like your quads and your glutes and your hams are all all the tissues that hold that knee together. It's weird. And then the stuff in between, but that's all now like titanium or whatever.
So have
And then
you, outside of, maybe a group text, have you guys talked at all and, you know, how's he doing or has it
I
been
get
kind
the I
of
get the
chill?
strong arm emoji whenever I whenever because I'm of the type that just drop them a text, let them know you're thinking about them, sending them prayers, because damn. And so I'll say, hey, brother, think about you. Hope you're doing well. And I'll get the little ding, ding, little muscle arm emoji. So that means, I think things are going
That's a
well.
good thing. Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I hope to be all back and running like we were a year ago next year, with recovery and all. And I hope nobody else gets hurt.
Yeah. I hope
Paul,
so. I will say that, you kind of brought up earlier talking about the tour and that we just did, or maybe other tours, but the tour that we just did was, from my perspective, I'm just a keyboard player in the band, but was incredible. And I loved our entire organization and band, crew, staff, whoever was there. It was just so good that I hope that we can get back to doing that. Um, however long it takes Tim to recover and maybe do other things he's got going on.
yeah.
That's cool, but you know, it'll be great when we can get back to doing this as well, because I feel like we left it at such a high point. Um,
It was a weird ending, kind of, wasn't it?
well, the literal ending was interesting.
Yeah.
The Nashville show was a little, I don't know, how do I even say this?
Just say it.
I guess any performance, you never know what you're going to expect. And um, it's kind of a mellow. I mean, I feel like we
Yeah.
rocked it on stage. I think that, it was just kind of mellow in the room. I don't know. Um, but yes, that was an interesting ending. Uh, but like, as far as the tour and, those shows, that was just incredible.
we
Yeah, I
had some
loved
good
it.
people. We had some good people working with us, and
Yeah.
you know, yeah, so thankful. I think because of those people who worked, I say for us, but not really for us, but like with the organization that helped us get to where we need to get, helping with getting food to the bus, ice to the bus, all those little things that make our life a lot easier. Um,
Yeah.
we do a
Travel.
lot, yeah, travel accommodations, and just I think the people were so on top of their game this year that it was just so smooth and so fast. Um,
Yeah.
and here we are on the other side, man. Remember February, in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, in that big, we essentially set up the stage and lighting and screens and
Mhm.
everything as if we're doing a show in this rehearsal studio in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. And we rehearsed for what, a week?
Yeah, I think it was,
Five
band
days, 4 days.
rehearsals were like 4 or 5 days or something. Um, in a big space. We basically set it up like it's the show. Um, and we ran it and tweaked, and Tim comes in and does his McGraw magic that he does, where he just like buttons everything and makes it into the show that it becomes. And
Yeah.
um,
I
that was
I
cool.
think too, when we're all there rehearsing the show, or just amongst ourselves, lighting and all the guys are doing their thing. Excuse me, did you hear that? Um, I think
Yeah.
we're doing a great job, but there's something about when he shows up that I know my focus has become a little sharper, and I want to play, I want to perform and be better. And I feel that comes across to everybody, because you're right. When he shows up, everything just kind of like shrink wraps, and
That's it.
we're in
Yep.
like show mode, because he's here, he's listening, he has great ears, he's watching, and yeah, we just shrink wrap the whole process, and then we run it for another 7 days.
I remember that in 2012, my first rehearsals with you guys. I remember Bob, our acoustic player and many other instruments.
Mm.
He said to me, like, because I was already on a high of like, I've got this job, I'm rehearsing with this band at a level that I never thought I would achieve. And here I am doing it. So it was really exciting. And Bob was like, well, wait till Tim comes in, because when Tim comes in, it's a different thing, and it just everything's elevated. And I was like, huh, okay, I wonder what you mean by that. I mean, I know what those words mean, but like, what does that feel like?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember he came in, super cool. We ran the show. It was a very like uplifting and positive run through. Everybody performed well. He made some tweaks to the set list, like, just kind of like moving stuff around, like this can go here, this can go there, we can take this out, we can put this in. Done. I don't know that I saw him again until production rehearsals. He
Right.
just knew exactly, because he's had decades of experience doing this. And I was in week 2 of doing this, and
Yeah.
so it was cool to
You're
watch him.
28,
29.
29.
Yeah, it was cool to watch him just come in and know exactly what needed to happen, and then like peace out, see y'all,
Yeah. Get it
at
fixed.
production rehearsals. Yeah.
Right
um
on.
yeah, so that it's cool. And then you see that every year. There's been years where he hasn't come to band rehearsals because
Mm-hmm.
everything's good, and then he'll, like you said, shrink wrap it
Mm-hmm.
at production. Or he'll come for more days than you might think and hang out and sing through the stuff. And
That's a good band name.
what? Shrink wrap?
Shrink wrap. Yeah.
Tim
Tim
McGraw and
McGraw
shrink wrap.
and shrink wrap.
But I thought about going back to, when you put me in the mindset of like going to production rehearsals and going to start the tour, it put me in that place of major anxiety because I had not toured since having our son Leo. And
Congratulations, by
so
the way. Billy is a new
thank you.
father. He's
Yeah.
now two,
14 months.
14 months, a year and 2 months. How
Yeah.
come you don't say a year and 2 months?
I don't know.
Why is it 14 months?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm
It's like
actually
14 and a half months.
1,689 months. So
No way. Is that the
I
real
don't know.
number?
I don't know. I just made it up.
Um, and that was really stressful to
Yeah.
start rehearsals in another city, and then a tour every week, Wednesday to Sunday, with having a baby at home. And I'm just like, how's this gonna work with my wife? She works. So short of it is, it worked out fine and we got through it. But how you have a lot of experience of coming and going, and you have 4 boys in your house, right?
I
Or you
do.
did.
I do.
Um,
Yeah.
so how did you do that year after year after year after year after year? And was it always dread like it was for me?
Well, um, I relate to the anxiety because I get it now. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty much dread. Leaving the home, at that moment, those brief moments where you're walking out the door, getting in the car, rolling down the street. There was lots of times where like, what am I doing? But then I remembered this is what I wanted. This is what I dreamt of as a teenager. I didn't dream of that part. I didn't even, rational realize that part. Didn't work that into the equation. I just knew that I was going to do what I had always dreamt of doing. So in a way that was a sacrifice. That was what I had to give up in order to attain my dreams. And Cindy's a great mom. We both have great ladies, great women in our lives who watch after our children, with
Yeah.
angels, hearts, and wings. And so yeah, Cindy was just she's the reason. I came home and spoiled them. for the week or whatever that I was home. Took them out, fed them candy, bought them toys, and like a good grandparent. No, and then
Yeah.
I'd go off on the road, and those early years was, we always said we had to pack a big bag, it was the big bag tour.
Yeah.
Uh, it was just
Yeah, I
what
didn't
had to be
know.
done.
I didn't know if I didn't know if this tour was going to tell me like you can't do this anymore or tell me like you got this and it's going to be fine and do it as long as you want. And I feel the latter. I feel like it actually kind of empowered Callie and I um to just deal with what's like the instability of just coming and going. Um and it was a really good thing and a good test. And that was a big tour. It was 4 months, right? March, April, May,
Yeah.
June.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm glad we I'm glad we did it. I remember literally putting the tour dates in my personal calendar, and like I could have cried. I was like, this was probably back in January or something. I was like,
Hmm.
and then I'm going to be here, and then I'm going to be here, and I'm not going to be home. How am I going to do this?
Right.
And then I have this like little
Totally.
baby, and I'm going to miss all this stuff, or am I going to miss it? I don't really know. It's my first time being a dad.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it,
It's
it was
all a
okay.
learning
It
experience.
worked out.
Yeah. It's all a learning experience, and even I remember telling the boys as they were they were growing up, and they'd present me with something, whether it was I can't find my shoes or I can't get whatever. I'm like, boys, I don't know how to do this. Every day is something. Don't think I'm like leading you through this. We're walking through this together,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to, I'm dealing with it in the moment, and we're going to figure it out together. But I have no magic book. I have no instruction manual.
Right.
I
I don't
gotta.
think anybody does.
No, of course not. And that's what makes it fun. That's what
Yeah.
makes it. You learn. It's a learning process,
Yeah.
and with your very own little ball of clay, and they're watching everything, bro. They're
Are
watching
they?
everything. Oh yeah,
I'm
but
starting to pick up on that, I think.
but
That
you're a good dad. You have a big heart, and you're
trying.
super super engaging. I've run into you on the bus singing "Wheels on the Bus" many a
Yeah.
time,
I'm
and though
trying
I
to be
sang a
quiet in
different
the back
version.
lounge and then there I am. Yeah.
Yep, and I think the arrangement I sang was a little different. It's all the same lyrics, just different arrangement. Yeah. But but yeah, those take me back. Those take me back. So briefly, before you came to Nashville, uh, you know, you grew up in Baltimore. Your Wikipedia page is amazing, dude. I got
There's
a
nothing.
wealth
There's
a
no
wealth of
Wikipedia
information
page.
off your Wikipedia page.
Is there one? I not one that I know of.
There's not,
Okay.
but some of the stuff I gathered and I know you were born in Toronto, California, Toronto,
Should I
Canada.
put do I need to like should I use the word hailing, like hailing from Baltimore? Would I hail from Toronto? If I'm
No, I
gonna
think you
do
probably hail
this,
from Baltimore. I don't think
hail
you would
from
hail.
Baltimore, right?
Yeah,
With roots in, that's cool.
that's cool.
I'll have to
Yeah,
work on that. I'll do
yeah.
that for you in
That Wikipedia
2024 sometime.
2020 never.
2020 never, yes. But yes, I grew up in Baltimore. I'll let you finish. Sorry.
No, 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 no. I just was gonna set up your move from Baltimore to Nashville, and you
Yeah.
know, you're educated in music. You're not like every piano player that comes into Nashville. You can read music, and you went to school. You have a BA or a master's, or what do you have
I
in
have a
piano performance?
bachelor's of arts in music
Hmm.
from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. I'm not a good music reader. Um, so I grew up as a like classical pianist. Um, and I was a very lazy practicer um, until college. I was a terrible I was just terrible at practicing. In fact, still have recurring dreams occasionally where I have to do a piano recital and I'm unprepared, and I have to go out and do this piano recital, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. Um, but uh, once I sort of learned my way around the piano, I realized that my ear was pretty strong and I could hear things and play it, um, which sort of enabled my laziness with sight reading because I wouldn't really practice a whole lot, but I'd go to my piano lessons and ask my piano teacher to like show me a section or play a section for me, and I'd kind of like pick it up that way.
Yeah, I get it.
Um, but sometime in high school, I got really into opera, of all things, um, and I decided I wanted to be an opera conductor. And in order to do that, you have to get a solid, at the time, undergraduate degree in music and your instrument, whatever. And then
Hmm.
conducting was studied at the graduate level. So I had to catch up in a lot of ways and actually put in my hours and hours of practicing a day in college, in order to sort of get to this point where I could be an acceptable candidate for like a master's in conducting.
Right.
Um, I actually never got there because junior, senior year of college, I sort of fell out of love with the idea of it. I can't really remember why. Maybe I was overwhelmed by like the leadership role of being a conductor, or um, just the overwhelming responsibility of what that is and what you need to know. And um, so anyway, I
Now,
actually left college. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just for those who are, this is a conductor in front of an orchestra, not a train, right?
Yeah.
Just to make sure, we got to keep people. Yeah,
Yep.
you're good at wearing the big hat. Just being in front of all the people and knowing what the first
That's
violins
right.
and the second violins and the oboes,
Yeah.
oboists. Yeah, all that's a lot to know, man. Shit, it's a lot.
It's a lot to know. And I did graduate from school, but I had no idea what I was going to do. Um, Kind of on a whim, I decided with one of my best friends in college, like, let's move to Los Angeles and like write some songs and see what happens. And we did that. We fulfilled that idea, and nothing really came of it. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no idea how to navigate the scene in LA. I was very overwhelmed by how large the city was, coming from Baltimore and growing up in or going to college in Pittsburgh. You know, these are pretty small cities. The the vast, like, just the miles and miles and miles and miles of Los Angeles was really intimidating. And
I
I
get
was
it.
also like a broke kid. Like, I didn't have the money to indulge in that place.
Yeah, of all
Uh,
places.
yeah, and I just, after a year, I sort of got this bug from a friend of mine to go try playing piano on cruise ships. Um, and so I auditioned for that, and it sounded like a dream job because like we would travel around the Caribbean and get paid for it, and um, that part is true. But I actually got fired from my first. I was hired. I was hired to do the cruise ships, and then my first ship fired me because I was just not a good reader. I was not a good band member as far as like fitting in with the musicianship of playing in a band and
Mm-hmm.
knowing your role. And I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I came from a solo classical piano background, right? So
Straight into.
straight into playing like watered down pop music
Yeah.
for these like variety shows essentially.
Right. Right. Right.
But they they fired me from that ship and transferred me over to another ship that was just a lot warmer and just more inviting for me to learn the skills that I needed to learn. So they had a little bit more patience with me, and that started like a 2 year run of some of the most fun and enjoyable times of my life of just being young, single, musician, traveling around the Caribbean, having friends. It was wonderful. And then to answer your question about getting to Nashville, from there I met a one of the dancers on the ship. His name was Kayvon. He was from Manchester, England. He and I just became good friends, and he I think his father was American, or somehow he had an American passport or citizenship. I can't remember. And we just decided to move to Nashville.
Did Kayvon spark your love of football, like Manchester, England football,
Oh
or had you always
no,
just a sidetrack? Because Billy was one of the first people who was so excited that soccer was like being played on American TV and kind of like lit the fire on the bus. Now we all love watching soccer. But anyways, was he?
no. I don't think he really cared all that much about soccer. I was into. I'm probably mostly into soccer because of my dad. He's from
Mm,
Hungary. He watched it all the time in my house. I didn't get into it until much later, but he was always watching the games.
cool.
So
Shout out to Dad.
um, shout out to dad. Um, yeah. So then I moved to Nashville, and my plan in Nashville was I'm going to stay here a year. I'm most likely going to fail, and then I'm going to go back to work on cruise ships um, until I retire. That was the plan.
Wow.
But I did not. I did not fail here. Um, so I stayed.
How how'd you get your first gig? I think was it Jack Ingram that you worked with at first?
I did Jack. I did work with Jack Ingram. He wasn't my first gig, but that was my first time doing like a longer stretch of playing with one artist um, for a while. That was about a 2 year stint for me. Um, I think he was casually looking for keyboard players, and somebody put my name in the hat with their band leader, and I had to just stay on the band leader and like basically like just beg my way into doing the gig. I wanted any opportunity to play and tour and
Sure.
travel, and that was very exciting for me
So
at the
who
time.
was your first gig when you moved to Nashville? Do you remember?
My
And how did you
first,
get? And how did you
yeah,
get? Like when I came to town, I went and did like open mic nights. It's easy to carry a fiddle in and jump in front of a microphone, but with a piano, it's a little different, I guess. How
yeah,
did
that's
you?
true. Um, well, Craigslist at the time was, and it might still be, but I would sort of respond to ads on
Hmm.
Craigslist and just try and do gigs that way. And I got a few gigs out of it. I played on Broadway. Um, and I actually started playing on Broadway for free just so that people would hire me. They're like, oh,
Sure.
we don't have to pay this keyboard player or split tips with him. Great. That changed
whatever
quickly, though.
whatever it took, right?
Whatever it took, all I wanted to do was play. And I remember the biggest compliment was like, not only when I would be asked back by a band, but if there was a band after us that needed a keyboard player and they'd be like, hey, can you stick around and play keys with us? I had just worked like 2 to 6 and then they were working 6 to 10. I was like, heck yeah. I mean, dude, I would have played 24 hours a day if I could. I loved it so much. I was so excited to just like be working and to be
Yeah,
playing music. I couldn't believe that it was like possible to pay my rent that way, you know?
yeah.
And then from there, it's just that slow build out of your network and the people you know. And I think not having I never had my eggs in one basket. I didn't just do Broadway. If I saw another opportunity to play a showcase at 12th and Porter, or just go do something somewhere else and be seen somewhere else and meet other people, I would try to do that, um, and just build out that way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, coming to town, everything, anything, meeting people. There was
Yeah.
that time in my life when we were young, and that was the goal. Every night we went out. We
Yeah.
worked day jobs, and
Really?
yeah, we had day job. I worked I sold boots and jeans. That's what I did when I
Wow.
left Austin. Um, but
Where did
but
you
the
do
goal
that
was
in Nashville?
a place called the Boot Factory, down off of Murfreesboro Road, just off behind the airport,
Okay.
Genesco.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I did that during the day, so I could play music at night, and then we'd go to downtown and just network, or go to an open mic and sing and play and hang out there till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then go home and do it all over again. But the goal was to connect and meet people, and I
And to
miss
answer
that
your
because
question, sorry, Jimmy
yeah,
Wayne was my first
Jimmy
major
Wayne.
label act. He had like a few hits like in the later aughts, I think. 2010,
Mm-hmm.
11.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyway, but yes, go back to what you're saying about
Oh, no,
working.
no, no. I just kind of missed that whole. Now we networks. Socially on the computer. Essentially, I mean, I'm sure there is still a large group of musicians who are out every night, hitting the bars and jamming with all the, our John Prestia, which I'm getting him on here soon too.
Oh, what a
Uh,
great, that'll be a good interview.
oh my gosh, John
Yeah.
Prestia is our guitar tech for 28, 30 years. I don't know how long it's been. He's been working with us, but that man, I think he told me on his wedding night, he got married and he went and played a gig. And so that's what he does. He'll come off a 4-day run, a 3-day run, and he's got a gig down at the Hacienda, and he's going to go do, and every night he's playing,
Every
and
night he's playing. And I met him sometime in shortly after I moved here, and we played in a band together on Sunday nights, and that's why I'm in your band.
did he turn us on to you?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think. Well, there you go. I have to have him on. Yeah,
He's
I was
like
going to ask
he's
you, how
like
did you hear
the
about us?
he's like the musician angel. He if he's in your corner, he will do, and he's in everyone's corner. He's the nicest guy in the world, but
Sure is.
um, he will do anything he can to help you out. I mean, like, I have a good job, I have a wife, I have a son. I mean, that all comes from him just going to bat for me with you guys.
I know, man. I know how that feels. I know how that
Yeah.
feels.
What was your first touring gig here in Nashville?
It was, well,
Or were you
I
in
played with a bunch.
Texas when you were
Um,
touring?
in Texas, I had my own thing. I was just fronting a little band we had there called Sierra, and
Okay.
it took a long time to get to that point to where I could get into the dance clubs and honky tonks there in Austin. But we did it, and we were doing good. And I think I just got tired of being, I was working 40 hours a week at a Western wear store there, and playing in the evenings, and that just went on for years. And I was like, if I don't make a move and do something, it's never going to change. So yeah, I moved to Nashville. A friend of mine that actually came up to Nashville to kind of he was a songwriter, and by dumb luck, he met Tim at Barbara's, which was down the alley, down by Skull's Rainbow Room, and my buddy Shane introduced me to Tim, and at the time, Tim had just signed and was doing a bunch of bars and stuff around town, but it was just that you have to go where it's happening, right? You have to go where
Hmm.
things are happening. I think if I was an actor or something like that, I would have tried to go to LA or New York or something. But music and country music were big in my background in my life, and so I knew that Nashville was where I had to end up. And kind of the same thing. We gave ourselves. By this time, I was already married with my wife. I hadn't had kids yet, but we kind of gave ourselves a 3-year plan. and I knew I could sell boots and jeans during the day and make a living
Yeah.
that way. And all
What's
the
the
while,
story? What's the story on the road? Like, did you like literally switch buses and just get into Tim's band, or how did that work out?
uh, no, he if it would have gone the way he would have wanted it to have gone, I would have packed up my amp that night. We were the band I was and rolled home with him. The band I was working with, we actually opened for a young Tim McGraw and at the
Okay.
Grizzly Rose in Colorado.
Still
Uh,
there, right? I think that
Still
place is
there,
still there. I've played there.
yeah, man. And yeah, it just something. The evening rolled out to where there was some upset people, and Tim was like, "Hey, man, grab your shit and get on the bus. We're going back to Nashville, and then you can start with me." And I couldn't leave. We had I think it was the second or third night into a 2 week stay or whatever. So I just kept that. I just talked to him and said, "Man, I can't do that to these people. Let me finish up my gig, and I'll give you a shout." And he, him, loyal to his word
Hmm.
till the end. And I did. I got home and gave him a shout. He said, well, "I think the next gig was we were going to Indianapolis. We opened for Toby Keith.
Wow.
Was my first gig with McGraw."
Wow. And what do you happen to know, like what songs were out by then? Back then, like what Tim songs were out?
Well, definitely "Don't Take the Girl" and "In Outlaw," and we did "Memory Lane" and
Mhm.
"Welcome to the Club," which was off his first record and stuff. We did a lot of cover stuff,
Cool.
did some cover stuff to fill. We weren't doing like 4 hour nights or something like that. We did hour sets or whatever. But
Side note, did you meet Toby Keith?
uh, I
I
think
always
just
liked him.
I think it was just a quick "Hey, how you doing?" kind of thing. These are my guys or whatever.
Okay.
It wasn't a real. We didn't get a chance to sit down and hang out.
Okay.
But yeah, I would have liked to have had that opportunity to sit and talk with him.
Yeah.
Um, Seemed like a pretty talented dude by writing and performing and singing all his own stuff. That's pretty cool.
And he did it like his way. He was like unapologetic. I think there's a lot of uh that's a bold thing to be. And I think that's pretty cool.
It seems like that's the struggle with a lot of the artists that come here is staying true to what you bring to the table. I know a few friends who've moved back to Texas because they just didn't want to play the game, or
Yeah.
play that game, and it's the shame. It's a shame. At least give them a shot to get out there and give it what they got as they are, and then if they fail, well, they fail. But I think Toby
Yeah.
and Tim were a lot alike in that respect, that they really stuck to their guns, and that's how we got to be on albums. Whoever did that, whoever took their
Yeah.
road band into the studio after having so much success with their
That's
studio
cool.
career. Yeah, nobody. And so, yeah, man, I think we all were meant to be together. You know, it's all part of this crazy universal, a linear system.
Linear system. Linear solar system. You gonna get
It's a
Heath on here?
linear. That's
Um,
Heath. That's our sound guy. But if you had given yourself, if you hadn't have met John Prestia, if you
yeah.
hadn't have done your thing and said, let's go to Nashville, and just made those choices and decisions to step out there, out of your comfort zone. And you sound like you've always dealt with anxiety. I mean, I thought the fainting on stage, that one thing was a I'll let you share that story, was a one-time thing, but it seems like, man, you could go at any minute.
Well, thanks. All right. Thanks for having me on. Have a great night, everybody.
And that was Billy. No, so but you sound like like the anxiety has always been an issue, huh? Kind of always.
I chalk up uh, the fainting on stage to a more medical reason, and I'll explain it. Not medical,
Okay,
but I can actually
dehydration.
explain that. Yeah, so we had two nights at Gillette Stadium opening
Yeah,
or not opening, sorry, co-headlining with Kenny
co-headlining.
Chesney. Yep. Let me say that again. Co-headlining. um, and so the first night did it, and then there was a tour party, right, in the parking lot afterwards. I don't know
Yeah,
if you remember that.
yeah,
Um, Tour party, and I just did what I did at the tour party and did not worry about sleep. I'll just put it that way.
yeah. Rock star.
Oh man. Woke up the next morning on a moving bus from somewhere. I don't really know where I went and how I was coming back, but that was interesting. It was a tour bus, but not mine. Um, Someone else is on the tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we were going back to a hotel or coming from a hotel. I don't even remember. Um, and then that day, Tim was really still is, he was really into fitness and working out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, uh, and so he was doing like this kind of epic end of tour workout that he just did not stop. And I
Yeah.
did it with him. I was like, all right, let's keep going and I'll do what I can do. But I stayed out there with him. I still have a picture of like those of us who did it with him, me, Paul, Kevin, EJ, um, Matt, his nephew.
Yep.
Um,
Not me.
I don't think you were there for that
I
one,
wasn't there. No.
but you've been there for many of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I did that, probably just exhausted and dehydrated. And then um, we did our set sometime that night, and there would be in between our set and the encore, Kenny did his set, so there'd be some time to kill. And I probably had a couple of drinks
You're
again.
thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the time I got on stage with my accordion for She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy,
Yeah.
I tripped on some steps on the set and then flew forward and landed on my
Mm.
accordion on my stomach and the wind knocked out of me. Okay. So
Uh huh.
I think this was kind of the reason that I actually did pass out.
Yeah.
Um, I stood up and I finished the next couple songs. I was like, I don't feel good. And eventually that happened. And my now wife, who was our assistant tour manager at the time, she took me to the Women and Children's Hospital and uh, and got me better.
Were you
But
not in an ambulance?
well, yeah, she went with me in the
Oh.
ambulance.
Oh.
Yeah, she's
Is
the
that when you
best.
knew?
If I didn't know, then I was stupid. But
And
I should
if
have
you had
known.
been told, like 20 years ago, you'll be getting on stage with Kenny Chesney with an accordion, would you have believed them?
No, I
First of
am
all,
not
who's
an
Kenny
accordion
Chesney?
player. I learned it for this one song we do, Mexicoma.
Mexico. And I
Uh,
learned keyboard or tried to learn keyboard for that one
I
tune.
tried to learn accordion,
You did
and
good.
and uh, and then I think it was just like kind of a gimmick or something, some guy with an accordion. So they had me play
Some
it in
guy
the
on a
encore.
keyboard.
Yeah, they had me play it in the encore, so that was cool. Um,
Dude, talk about gimmick. I mean, I've learned to play cello for one song, way
wow,
back in the day. I learned to play it for that one tune, but and it's back here. There it is. It
there it
looks like a
is, all cased
sarcophagus.
up,
It looks
no
like a
dust.
sarcophagus. No dust.
But to your point, though, there is an element for me of stage anxiety that is real and very stressful. um,
How
and
do you deal with that?
irrational. What's that?
How do you deal with that on a nightly basis? You just wing it, see how I feel?
Yeah, I think it's like for me, it's a muscle that needs to be exercised. In that, the more exposure I have to feeling anxious and nervous uh, and just that feeling that way, the more I'm used to coping with how that feels. Um, for me, it's a little self centered. Like it all comes down to like moments um, where I have a little bit more of the spotlight, and so I get very worried that I'm gonna let Tim down or let the band down by not fulfilling my like responsibility.
Uh-huh.
So the examples on this tour, um, first verse of Tiny Dancer, which is just piano, um, until some steel and bass, and some guitar stuff comes in, but it's really the piano leading it. And then the
Yeah.
intro to Standing Room Only, which I
Mm.
wanted to do, but I didn't know if I'd be able to pull it off like nerves wise. Um, and those are the two moments where I would really worry nightly about it, um, because they were so piano centric, and I just don't want to let I don't want to let anybody down, and I don't want to be noticed. And I feel like obvious mistakes are noticeable, and I just don't want to. I don't want to be noticed. I don't want anyone to even know I'm there. I want it to be that seamless.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
But just kidding. Um, the segue to standing room only, bro, is amazing. And I
Thank you.
know, I know you. It's a Bruce Hornsby piece, right?
Hmm. Yep.
But you had to learn that, and what people don't hear in the audience or during our shows is your count and how you how you broke that all down and counted yourself in, and that was
Right. So
just
what you're
genius.
talking about is like
Our in
what
ears,
we hear on stage is like,
right?
first of all, a count in so that we know when to start, and then
1, 2, yeah,
yep, and then a click track so that we stay on the grid along with lights and video and sound,
the
and
drums and bass, yeah,
all of
yeah.
that's locked in. And so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there was that element of that intro too that um, just helped me keep it consistent every night. But really, I was just hoping that I could overcome, this like intense pressure of having to pull it off. And I did get used to it
Right.
um, after a while, but every once in a while there'd be like the smallest slip up in both Tiny Dancer and that piece, and I would notice it. Maybe some of the band would notice it. I don't know. And my stomach would just drop to the floor, even though it probably wasn't that big of a deal. But I was just like, fuck, I messed it up.
Yeah, people, don't hear the little mistakes, but
Yeah.
we do. We hear the little mistakes and we know the nuances and all that stuff. And it's hard to keep it all in track and all on focus when there's 20,000 people screaming at you. Tim's down there, hitting your leg, or just doing something, poking you in the ribs,
Yeah.
and I
Which
get
is
that.
that's good though, because
Oh, you didn't have an excuse.
that lighten yeah, well, yes, you have an excuse if you do make a mistake. And
Yeah,
it just lightens the mood a little bit.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. It
it
takes a little
just
pressure off.
I take it so seriously, and then if he's messing around, then it's like, okay, this isn't that big.
Yeah,
You don't have to take it that seriously. But
it's
don't you think maybe, I don't know how it is for you, but do you feel that feeling of like not wanting to let anyone down
all the time. I know nobody out
on
there is
stage? I
listening to
mean,
me. Yes,
yeah.
I know. I mean, I know people can hear me, but they're not listening to me.
Yeah.
They're listening to Tim, and
Right.
but I know that the majority of the band guys on stage are listening to me. I know Denny's listening to me,
Yeah.
and and that really is enough. If was and I know Robert's listening to me, and I know Dave's listening. These are all Denny's our band leader, steel guitar player. Robert is our monitor engineer who takes care of our in ears, so we can hear exactly what we want. And Dave is my guitar tech. So I know those three people I know are listening to me,
Yeah.
and so I'm I don't want to choke on anything that I can't pass
Yeah. You just want
because
to
of
do a
that.
good,
And
you just want to do a good job
I
on
just want to do a good
stage
job. Yeah.
and support the, you know, the thing, the show that it is and the performer that Tim is. And I really worry about that stuff sometimes, but I think a lot of times listening back, like when I would listen to our run throughs from rehearsal,
Hmm.
um, I'd feel really good about it because I could hear myself in the context of the whole band, and I just thought we all sounded great as a combined unit,
Hmm.
um, and that gave
Yeah.
me a lot of confidence that the show was pretty great and that all of us were performing well.
Yeah. It's been a great year. It was a great year, and it's having you part of it for the last 10 has elevated the
14,
game.
14. Thanks.
14, sorry. Has elevated the level of our performances, all across the board.
Well, everybody, I think everybody elevates everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for saying that,
I agree.
but I think it really is like it's a, it's teamwork. No matter how much we want to kill each other in rehearsals, sometimes.
Do you have any plans for this little break that we have off, Bill? What you gonna do?
Going to the beach next week with my parents and Callie and Leo.
Nice, nice.
Um, going to a wedding in October. Taking a trip with Callie in December. I'm just being a good dad is
Amen.
is really what I want to do. Um, and just be around for as much of his stuff as I can. Um,
Yeah, man.
and work in town when I can. And that's kind of it. What about you?
Essentially the same thing. Fix things that have been broken, you
Yeah.
know, and catch up on this little thing. Maybe get this thing launched off in a good with a good little push. And
Yeah.
just, I love being home, man. I don't want to go anywhere. I love being home. This is my kingdom.
Yeah.
But just just enjoy those around me, and strengthen my relationships with the friends that I have, because we don't get together enough.
Yeah.
Duh.
Who are you talking to?
I think you were last over. When was the last time you were over my house? 4th of July,
Some 4th of July. Yeah. Um,
19. And I think
1981.
I was over at your house. Oh, never.
Never. You came to my last house to write a song,
I did.
um, but you haven't been to this one. So
We'll fix that.
we'll fix that, man. Yeah, I'd love
We'll
that.
fix that. All right, brother. Well, I'll let you go now, man. Tell Callie hello, give her a hug for me, and give little Leo a hug and kiss for us.
Same for Cindy and the boys, man. Tell Dina hello if you speak with her as well.
I will.
Um,
Thank you.
and thanks for having me on. This was, again, I get nervous, I get self conscious, but I felt really comfortable talking to you.
Oh, man, thanks.
So if you ever want to do it again, I feel like there's a million other things we could talk about.
I know. Yeah, and we will. We will. Love you,
Cool.
brother.
Love you, man. I'll catch you soon.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Well, folks, there you have it. Billy Nobel. What a guy. What an amazing musician. What a even more amazing friend and father. You guys, I really appreciate you showing up and taking time out of your day to listen to my little conversations. I hope that one day we get a chance to meet out there on the road. In the meantime, I love you. Keep on doing great things and do whatever you can to leave this place better than we found it. I'm Dino. We'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey y'all, it's me again. I don't know what the hell I'm doing on this thing. I just know that it's a lot of fun and I enjoy talking to people and sharing conversations with you. So we're going to grow it together and we're going to have fun together. So stick with me. And if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them on the Spotify webpage, or you can contact the podcast at Better Than We Found It Pod on Instagram, or you can email me at betterthanwefounditpod@gmail.com. Thanks again, y'all. Y'all be great. Peace.